It's the Della Terra 261. We'll start up here in the front. It does have a hookup light for hooking up at nighttime. It has one 12-volt battery on the front of the unit, two 20-pound propane cylinders that are full except for what we use to service the trailer. The regulator has an arrow on it. It's pointed to this tank over here. That's the one we worked off of when we serviced the trailer. Shows you it's green inside the eye. As soon as that bottle would happen to come up empty, it'll turn red inside the eye, indicating that the bottle it's pointed to is empty. If you have both cylinders open, it'll pick up from the other one automatically. It's still going to show you that it's red. The one it's pointed to is empty. But it'll automatically pick up from that one so you don't lose your service in the middle of the night. Then you can take this one off and have it refilled in town or wherever you have them refilled at. You can have them filled here. The bottle cover has two tabs on the bottom of it with a bungee cord between it to hold it in place. It also has the quick disconnect at the top so that you don't have to take the cover off every time you want to turn a cylinder on or off. We'll stick that right back there. Does have a hookup light for hooking up at nighttime on the jack itself. Then you have your up and down button for running the jack up or down to get it on or off the vehicle. And then a rubber plug in the very back. That is the manual crank. There's a crank handle in the front compartment that goes down in here and will crank that jack up or down. For any reason it won't go on its own. It does have a way to manually crank it up. Before I manually crank it up, I would check that 30 amp fuse right there to make sure that fuse didn't blow. The fusible link is on there for in case the jack goes up too far, it pops the fuse instead of popping the gears on the top, or if it goes down too far, it pops the fuse before it pops the gears on the jack. Also has a 7-way and chain holder on the side, keeps the 7-way cord up off the ground from getting it rusty, and it keeps the chains up out of the way. As we step down on this side here, in your first compartment on the off-door side, it is what I call your water fill compartment. It has a light on each side of the compartment. It's a two-way light. It comes on automatically when you open the door, or you can turn it the other way and it stays on 24/7. But in the water fill compartment, we also have your digital readout for your solar panels up on top that shows you what the solar panels are putting out to the battery. We have a 110 outlet that is protected by the GFCI outlet in the bathroom. You have your park cable hookup and a satellite hookup. You also have a battery disconnect. To the right of that, you have your city water connect that you can hook onto with a hose, turn water pressure onto it, and never have to fill the tank. It does have a hole in the bottom of the compartment so you can bring your water line and your cable lines up to the bottom so that you can leave the big door shut. Also has an outside shower on this side over here. It gives you hot and cold water. It does have a blue hose that hooks into it. The next one back is the fresh tank fill. Fresh tank will fill here. When I fill the fresh tank, I put the water hose in there, turn water pressure onto it, then I go into my monitor panel and watch it fill up. 1/3, 2/3 full. Once it hits full, I come out and I turn the water pressure to this off. That way you don't overfill the tank. It also has a drain line for the fresh tank right behind the front leveling jacks. And on them leveling jacks, on the off-door side, there is a piece of rebar hanging out the side of them. That's a brass colored handle on the inside. Will manually crank those jacks up or down for any reason they won't work off the switch. Your first termination valve is your kitchen sink water only. Lug nuts on the trailer's been torqued at 100 foot-pounds. That's what's recommended on the side. The tires are air ducted pressure, which is 65 pounds on the side of them cold. And they do have the nitro gas in them instead of having air in them. If you're out on the road and one would happen to come empty, you can put air in on top of it. But you want the pure nitro fill, you have to take it back to like a Plaza tire shop or a car dealership and have them take the air that you put in back out and put the gas back in. Second termination valve back here in the back. The gray handle in the front will do your bathroom sink and shower water. The black valve right in behind that is the toilet water only. It's a black 3-inch valve. This is your power cord for the unit. It goes on, makes a quarter of a turn, tighten up the black knob. It's 35 foot long. It does have a green light on the other end, indicates that it has power coming through it. We do have a spare tire on the back with the new Parkland RV Center cover. They're a little heavier than what comes on the trailer. We also have the backup camera prepped at the top. We also have the Lippert ladder, extendable ladder prepped at the top for going up and checking the roof. And then we're going to come to the outside of the hot water heater. Hot water heater is gas and electric. The electric switch is in the lower left-hand corner for it to be on electric. Also has an anode rod, and it is also the drain rod for draining the water out of the hot water heater. We're just going to slide it right back in there. Your gas switch is going to be on the inside on your monitor panel. Before you turn either one of the sources on, electric or gas, you're going to want to pop the pop-off valve and make sure it's full of water before you turn on electric or gas, either way. As we step down this side over here, it has a porch spray hose that you can use the same blue hose for the outside shower on the opposite side of the trailer, but it only gives you cold water on this side. Right down below that is the black tank flush. So when you're dumping your holding tanks and you got all the nasties out of the black tank that you think that'll come out, you can hook a water hose and regulator to this, turn water pressure onto it. It's got a little aerator on the inside of the black tank that spins around, helps clean more of the debris out of the black tank only. Then you have your switches down here at the bottom for your, they're not leveling jacks, they're stabilizing jacks. The brick comes down till it hits the ground. Sometimes one of them will come down till it hits the ground, then the other one will come down. Sometimes they come down even. It's designed that way. But once they hit the ground, you're going to push the extend button just a little bit longer, let it put a little pressure on it, it stabilizes the trailer. Then you have your two low water drain points. The two low water drain points on the trailer are for winterizing and dewinterizing of the unit. And you can also use them in between long trips. If you want to not have stagnated water in the water lines, you can open them up when you're leaving the park and let all the water come out that'll come out of the water lines as you're leaving the park. You have two outside speakers. I'll have to show you more about that when we get to the inside. Your outside of your furnace. Sucks cold air in the top, hot air out the bottom, and that feels pretty good on the old cold hands. I always suggest putting a mud dauber screen over the outside of the furnace for the simple fact that once it's been lit on propane, for some reason, mud daubers love that smell. They go in there and they build their little dirt nest on the inside of the furnace, and it causes your furnace not to operate properly. It doesn't breathe properly. There's also a 110 outlet on the front side of the trailer and a park cable hookup or antenna hookup under here so that you can watch the ball game underneath the canopy. Your front jack switch is up here, works just like the back one does. It comes down till it hits the ground, and then it's just for stabilizing the trailer. It's not for leveling from side to side. Here on this side here, once we open the compartment door, the light comes on. We have three handles. The little crooked one up on the top is for the tongue jack on the front of the unit. The brass colored one is for the two stabilizer jacks that hooks on the off door side. And then we have a manual crank handle for the slide ring. Since there is no hole on the side of the trailer that you can stick a bigger handle through, they give you a ratcheting 3/4 inch wrench, and it'll come and go just right about here underneath the trailer up onto the frame. And it will manually crank that room in or out for any reason. It won't work off the switch. There is a manual way to crank it in and out. Now we're going to go back to the front door. Trailer's sitting level in the shop here. So we're going to open the door up all the way. A blue handle on the left-hand side holds the steps to the door frame. We're going to pull that handle and let the steps come out. It does have a handle here in the middle. Also has a button on either side at the bottom of the legs. There's 15 to 18 slots in the legs for adjustment of the front steps. The main thing on the front steps is once they come out and lay down, that has to lay flat in the threshold so that the front door fits over the top of it properly. And to achieve that, you push the button underneath each one of the legs and adjust the legs accordingly. The main thing is it has to lay flat in the doorway. So we're going to step up into the unit. It has a working fire extinguisher on the left-hand side as we come in. We'll go ahead and turn some lights on. When you're running the slide room out, you want to make sure there's not a tree or a vehicle parked up alongside of it. This one has another trailer on the other side of it, but we've already had the room open, so we know that it's going to fit. We're going to come back up to the top of the monitor panel. You can check any one of the tanks that's on it. We're going to do the battery first. It shows you that it's fully charged. To get an accurate reading on that, have the 110 line unplugged when you push the button, and it'll tell you exactly how much charge is in the battery. Your freshwater tank is to the right of it. It's showing you that it's empty. As it fills up on the front of the trailer, you can see it fill up 1/3, 2/3 full. Once it hits full, turn your water pressure off going to the tank. Your black tank is empty. As it fills up, it'll do the same thing, 1/3, 2/3 full. Gray tank 1 will be your bathroom shower and sink water. Gray tank 2 is going to be your galley tank, which is just the kitchen sink water only. The 2 red switches right down below that, the first one to the left hand side turns the water pump on between the freshwater tank and the faucets, and when it comes on, it's illuminated, it's lit up. The second one is the gas side of the hot water heater. When you turn it on, the little door side fault light comes on. It's going to stay on for just about a minute. About a minute's time, it'll go off. Then that hot water heater will go through 2 lighting processes to light on gas. For any reason it doesn't light on gas, that little red light's going to come back on, indicating that it did not light. Sometimes if you haven't pulled gas back to the kitchen stove, you have to do that twice to get it to pull gas all the way to the back of the unit. Your next black switch to the right of that is your interior lights in the living room area. The second switch is your awning lights underneath the awning on the outside. We'll come down to the toggle switches. The first one on the left hand side runs your slide room in and out. The second one runs your awning in and out. Awning in and awning out on it. It is too close to the trailer in front of us to run the awning out on it. But we did have it out before we put the other trailer in, and we did make sure that the awning lights all work, and there is pictures documenting all that on my iPad. We're going to go right behind Patty.
There is swap places.
There is a thermostat on the wall. We're going to turn it on. First thing it's going to tell you is the fan speed. We're going to keep it in the auto position. Your second one shows you the little snowflake down in the lower right hand corner. That's for your AC. You'll dial your temperature down for it to get it to come on. Hit that mode button one more time, and it shows you the furnace in the lower left hand corner. Then you can dial your temperature up for what you want the temperature to be inside the trailer. It is also a Fahrenheit and Celsius thermostat. For any reason it would get off on Celsius, you hold the up and down button at the same time and it will switch back to Fahrenheit. Sometimes if you push the buttons too quick, it confuses it, and sometimes it will get off onto the wrong Celsius instead of Fahrenheit. We do have a black switch in the bathroom that turns the light above the sink on. We also have another one of those motion sensored lights right inside the door that you can have it to where it comes on when the door opens, or you can leave it on 24/7. We also have your GFCI outlet in the bathroom that protects all the 110 outlets in the bathroom. Not in the bathroom, in the whole unit. But it even protects the one out in the water fill compartment. I did leave the panel off at the back of the hot water heater and the water pump so that you can see the 2 valves on it, because it is winterized. The unit is winterized. The valves on the hot water heater, for that to fill with water, have to be pointed towards the inlet on the hot water heater itself. Right now it's in bypass, so it's got antifreeze in the line that makes the circle, but not antifreeze into the hot water heater. When you get ready to flush all the antifreeze out of the water lines and then put water into the hot water heater, those valves will have to be pointed towards the hot water heater itself. The one at the bottom brings the cold water in, the one at the top will bring the hot water out. The water pump sits right down below the hot water heater. It has a valve on it, on the blue line coming to the pump itself, that is in the off position, allows the pump not to suck from the freshwater tank, but it allows it to suck from this hose here that has the cap in the end of it. This is for your winterizing. You'll take the plug out of the end, stick that down on your antifreeze jug. With the valve in the position the way it is now, it will suck from this hose here and suck antifreeze through the water pump and the whole system of the unit. When you want to suck water from the freshwater tank, the white valve has to be in line with the blue line. The panel for that's right here. I'm going to put it back on after we do the virtual. As you can see, it has antifreeze in the toilet. Single foot flush on the right hand side. Push halfway down, fills with water. Push all the way down, fills and dumps. And you always want to leave a little antifreeze on top of that black valve right there that keeps it lubricated. We also have a vent in the ceiling. The white vent brings air conditioning into the bathroom. The brown vent at the bottom of the tub brings heat into the bathroom. And if you turn the louvers, it will come over and keep the toilet warm so that it ain't so cold when you sit down on it. We also have a black narrow knob in the vent in the bathroom that cranks up, and a little black button that turns the fan on. And I'll put that panel back on your cabinet before we get done. We also have a 110 outlet to the right side of the couch. The lights in the slide room all have to be turned on by hand. They all have a little push button. And I called it a couch. It is actually recliners. Little console tray to keep your remotes in. Little handle on either side of the recliners that pulls the seat out. We also have a USB port between the recliners and the kitchen table for charging cell phones, kids' video games. Two little buttons above the dinette table have to be turned on to give the table lighting. The tabletop will also come off, goes between the two benches. The two bars lay underneath it. The two back cushions come over the top of the table to make a smaller bed there. Another light switch on the wall as we step into the master bedroom. In the master bedroom, there is a place on the wall for a second TV. It's got a 110 outlet and a park cable or antenna hook up there. There is also a backer that shows you where the bracing is for the TV mount. We also have a fire escape window on the off-door side of the unit. They're pretty easy to use. The little red tab on the screen pulls the screen loose. Once the screen's out of the way, the little red handle to the right-hand side of that comes out, goes in through the bottom of the frame of the window. That will allow you to open that window fully extended so you can access out the off-door side of the trailer. There is a 110 outlet on either side of the master bedroom. There's also a USB port on either side of the master bedroom. The two lights above the headboard have to be turned on by hand. They don't have a switch that turns them on and off. There's a little push button right dead center in the middle of it.
I'm not smart enough.
Should have a little button right dead center in the middle that you push up on
There
and
we
turns
go.
them on. Turns them off. There should be pretty good sized storage underneath the bed. The bed has struts that assist bringing it up and down. Lots of places for extra pillows, extra blankets, anything that you want to hide away from everybody else too. They do have the black tinted shades. It keeps all the light out of the bedroom. You have your second air conditioner. It doesn't have a thermostat control. It does have hand controls. This is your compressor side of it. The blue side over here is the AC. It does not have the heat strip, but it does have a gray strip over here so that you can run the fan and run the fan only. It is prepped for a heat strip on this side over here, but you have to add it into the unit yourself. It also brings you AC from the back AC to the front. Around here at the kitchen sink, both lights above the sink have to be turned on by hand. We also have a right side of the kitchen sink. There is a 110 outlet that is GFI protected by the outlet in the bathroom. We're going to open up this bottom drawer here. There's two sets of keys. The purple key does the lock and deadbolt on the front door. The 751 key does both of your outside compartments. There'll be 3 remotes in the unit. And all the paperwork that was in the unit is in the top drawer here. I'm going to hold on to them remotes for a minute. There's a microwave right above it that you can set the clock on it and set the time. The reason I set the time on the microwave is I can tell if the trailer's lost 110 power when I come back to it if I've been away from it. Usually here it's because somebody's come by, thought they needed the cord to plug in worse than I did. They unplugged my trailer, plug their trailer in. But if I come back to it, I can tell that that's not got the right time. I know somebody's been in there. Also has your refrigerator. Does have 2 separate settings on it. You have one at the top and the center and the back for the freezer. And you have a push button one down here in the bottom for the refrigerator. I like to set it to where my water freezes in the top, but my milk doesn't freeze in the bottom. We're going to come back to the stove top. It does have a light for the stove top and a fan. We're going to come back to the glass stovetop. The stovetop will lift up 2 times up out of your way, folds back, protects the blinds and the back wall of the stove. You can also take and turn this to where it says highlight position. All 3 burners up on top will light on their own. Anytime that the valves on top are lit, they'll have the red light indicates that it has gas coming through the valve. So you turn it off, then it goes back to being blue. Same way with your oven. You'll turn it on to where it says the little flame on it. You hold down on it and you can hear the little clicker, click, 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 click. But before you do that, you have to come over to this side here. Make sure you're on the oven side of it. Push back over here and it takes you to the stove side. You also have your temperature settings down here at the bottom and your timers for how long you want it to run. Right down below the stove, there is a brown vent on the wall that brings heat out into the unit. Your breaker box, the breakers are marked on the bottom row. The car fuses are marked up here at the top. And it shows you what every one of them is. Gives you several spots where the 12-volt fuses are not in there, so you could add more 12-volt appliances to the trailer if you wanted. Does have 2 inside speakers, 2 in the back by the front door. I'll show you more about that when we get to the stereo. Does have another vent in the ceiling. Doesn't have a fan in it. Does narrow knob cranks the vent up. We're going to come back to the TV. I'm just going to turn the TV on. I think the volume's already turned off on it, but it'll show you that it gets a pretty good picture on the TV. That's working off the booster in behind the TV and the antenna on top. The mid-size remote is for the stereo to turn it on and off. We'll turn it on. And then you have zones 1 and 2. Zone 1 is your inside speakers. Zone 2 will be your 2 outside speakers. We'll go ahead and turn that right back off. But then this is another one, it's the most important remote that you have. It does have the on and off button for it. It has your temperature set for the fireplace. You can change the color of the rocks down below. If you turn them to where they're green and leave it on the green, it will rotate between all the colors. It just keeps changing from blue, white, green. And then you also have changing of the flames. You can change the flames to different colors. But it also has a timer on it that you can run from 30 minutes up to 9 hours. Once it hits the 9 hours, it'll shut itself off. That's in case you fall asleep in the recliners over here. And then I hit the off button on it. But that's a pretty good picture on the TV. Working off the antenna on top of the unit and the power booster that's in behind it. The same way, the one in the bedroom, we brought our shop TV in and hooked it up to it to show that it would work in there. And we also got a picture of it working on the outside of the unit. But that's basically everything on your unit. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them the best that I can. Well, I've got one more thing to show you. The cabinet as you come into the door. If you open the door just a little bit, you can see it's dark. As soon as you open it up, it does have a light in there that comes on. That's a 2-way light too. You can have it motion censored or on 24/7. Right above my head, there is a smoke alarm. And we also have a carbon monoxide and LP detector down at the bottom. They all 3 give you annoying sounds that will drive you crazy till you take the battery out of this one, or you can fan that one and hit the remote button on it and it'll shut itself off. That's basically everything on your unit. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer any questions that you have, and thank you for your time.